for joining us today. We have a special conversation lined up with our missionaries in Albania, the Llapushis. We hope you guys enjoy.
Saying that it's good to have you with us, that you're the very first one that we've gotten to do this with, where we're coming in, reaching out to our missionaries globally and around the world during this time, and really just letting people hear from you guys and hear what's going on with your family, with your ministry, just, you know, how you guys are getting by and with everything, and how you're still ministering to people through technology like this, just like we are back here. So that's my introduction. Tony Llapushi, everyone. And this is where everybody claps their hands. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Watch this. Yay, here he is.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about our family and our situation here and about the ministry. And yeah, I think this is great. And I'm really privileged and blessed to be able to share a little bit about what is going here. We are good. Our family is good. We are doing good. We're trying to be good. And yeah, we've been 7 weeks now in quarantine, which means like 1 month and more and a half. And the restrictions here are very strict. That means that we cannot go outside the house, or we have 1 hour and a half for one person from the family to go out, do grocery, and come back home. And for weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we are not allowed at all to go outside the house. And I think the reason why the government really put all the restrictions is because we live just in the other side of the Adriatic Sea, very near to Italy. And before the restrictions started, we had before the border were closed, we had 3,000 to 5,000 people coming from Italy every day. And I think our government start getting they were afraid that we will get the virus, and it will be hard to deal with the virus. So that's why they really put very strict restrictions. We are staying home. We have a small apartment, and sometimes it's hard for the kids to stay all the time inside the house. But we are trying to be creative and creating new ways of living inside the house. Trying to spend a lot of time talking with our kids, and trying to play a lot with them. And it has been good because this is a time that it will not be like this forever. So we want to use this time well. So yeah.
Well, that's really good to hear. And I know some folks, as they were tuning in this Sunday, Mark was talking about some birthdays that you had, and we were just speaking just before this. Y'all have had 2 birthdays in the last week or 2 weeks. What was it?
Last week, yeah.
And it was Ida.
It was Ida's birthday and Josea's, my son's birthday, yes. And it was strange celebrating birthday without friends.
Oh, I know. That's gotta be so difficult. Well,
Yeah.
You tell them we said happy birthday from here at Headway.
Thank you.
And that's awesome. I'm glad that you guys are doing well. I guess I'll put a little context to our conversation. I was actually able to be on with Tony a couple weeks ago. He had reached out and he said, "Hey man, can we do a call?" I said, "Absolutely, been wanting to talk with you and speak with you." So we got on the call, and he was catching me up on day-to-day life and what was going on. And we had this idea in our conversation that how cool would it be to bring you on, give you a moment to speak to everybody, let everybody hear what's going on. It's so nice to be able to see your face. We talked about that, and being able to hear from you. So we wanted to kind of transition the conversation into the ministry approach and what you had shared with me previously about how you guys are able to continue to minister through Impact Toronto, because you guys just launched. Y'all have only been, y'all are a few months old, I guess.
Yeah,
with the launch.
We launched on the 19th. Yeah, on the 19th of January we launched the church. Yeah. Yeah, I think we are learning how to be the church and how to lead the church in the same time. with this new situation. We were not prepared to do everything on, or to do things online. And the first week for me, I had a lot of questions how we are going to do church and how we are going to deal with this situation now. But one step at the time, we are learning how to do ministry and how to still be the church.
Yeah.
And we are using, as a church, we are a small church, and that makes it easy. We are using a Zoom call. And every Sunday morning, we gather all together. Everyone show up in the Zoom call. And we are doing church online. I mean, like in the Zoom call. So we are having worship. So our worship leader is playing the guitar, and we are worshiping the Lord, and we pray. And I preach, and then in the end, we take a lot of time, question and answer, and try to build relationship with one another. Instead, for us, like for our church, and for me with our team here, we have been thinking and praying that more than trying to do outreach outside, we will be focusing a lot of time on how to grow spiritually and in the relationship with the Lord, the church, and how to help one another stay connected with one another and build a relationship with one another, and praying and taking care for one another. I think those two things have been kind of our main thing during this time, because I think this is not going to be forever. This is for some months, and we need to be ready that, okay, what's going to happen after this? And we are the church, and we need to be ready to answer people when they will have questions after all this is gone. And I know, like, people feel hopeless, and I know that people will come and ask questions, and we need to be ready, like, strong spiritually, and be ready as a church to go and answer those questions that people will have.
Right. I mean, I think that is, man, I think that's amazing, because that is basically what the church universally is having to do right now, which what we were speaking about, and really what always has resonated with me as we've spoken to missionaries from wherever it is, from you guys. Now, we have really awesome relationships with all of our missionaries, and we've been able, like I said, what I love about these calls is this gives people that same opportunity that we as leadership at the church get to do, that they don't get to do, where we get to sit down. Like we talked about last time, the very first meeting was at Chick-fil-A in Russellville right around a year ago. You were telling me, and I was like, man, it's already been a year. That's crazy. And then we went back and we met again. And one of the things that I love about y'all's culture is that you said there's no fast food places in Albania, right? Like, that's not really, there's not like fast food chain restaurants. A lot of it's about meeting, coming in, taking time, and catching up with each other, right? Like seeing how the family's doing, see how work's going. So there's a lot of coffee that's drank, right? Y'all drink real coffee though, right?
Yeah, we drink the strong coffee, the espresso. That you drink one and boom.
But I love that you guys come together, and that you have so much emphasis on that relational aspect, where it's not just, hey, we're going to grab a chicken sandwich real fast and get to our very next spot. But it's like, hey, we're going to sit down, we're going to break bread, and we're going to talk about what's going on in life. Yeah. And so what I love about that is, as a body of believers, and then as a church, like, something that we really try to take to heart is the relational aspect of walking through our Christianity with others. One of our things that we really push out here, that I know resonates in our conversation, is that every time we do a group launch, which is twice a year, what we ask people to do is to go deep with a few instead of so wide with so many people, like really sew in to that handful of relationships, 8 to 10 people, and really get to know them. And that's what you guys are doing right now, even in the middle of, like, I can't imagine launching a church, just getting traction, and then them saying, we're shutting everything down. And, how detrimental that could be. But yet you guys are taking this time, like you said, and what you're doing is you're developing those relations. You're going deep with those people. Yeah. So that, like you said, whenever we come out of this and we're on the other side, and we're able to be back in open community with each other, now they're going to be strong enough believers that they can go out. Because isn't that one of y'all's main missions, to be a church that plants other churches, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's our main or our big vision, is that we want to be a church that will become a church planting movement in the future for reaching Albanians inside Albania and outside Albania.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. And so I know last time we spoke, we were talking, and something that you said that I told you, I was like, I kind of want to get up and just take my earphones out and run around my little office for a minute. You were talking about how you were thinking about that church being empty, that building that you guys have worked so hard on. And I tell you, I didn't share this with you last time, but you had posted, it's been a while back, you had posted about getting a door and I think a window that maybe y'all got for free or something like that. And you posted this post on Facebook about how you guys were able to get this and you were putting it in, and how you guys were so pumped about putting in a new door and a new window in y'all's facility. And I'll be honest, man, like it didn't like convict me, but it definitely made me stop and be like, hold on, you know, like I was excited for y'all, but then I had to stop and think like, man, I need to be excited about those things. Like, don't let me lose the wonder in that, like the awe in what God does even here, you know, and how inspiring you guys are for us as we've watched y'all take these steps of faith, and then how God's orchestrated all of this out. But how that building, you know, how you were speaking about how that building is really instrumental to your ministry.
Yeah.
But it isn't what it's all about.
Yeah, well, you know, we find this place the end of July, and it was an old house that no one had been living here for many years, and it took us from August until November, the end of November, beginning of December, do a lot of renovations and make the place ready. Everything we were doing, we were having in our hearts and our minds people that we wanted to come and be with us and worship the Lord, and you know, grow together and share the gospel with the people that do not know the Lord. And we launched the church on January, and we had a celebration on December before we launched the church. We invited some people, and then we started launching the church, and then we started with Sunday service, and it was great. Things were going very well until we get the news from the government that we are not allowed to meet anymore because of the coronavirus. And you know, that was not easy to really go through that. Like, okay, we have worked hard, we started, now things are going very well, and now we have to stop. And I was concerned that, you know, the church, this will really impact in a negative way the church. That was my first concern when I hear this news. And the first Sunday I came to the church building because I needed to take something. I live very close. I need to take something for my house. And just in the morning, in the time of the service, going around the church and seeing the building empty, it was not very, very, very good feeling. I can tell you, like seeing the chairs empty and seeing the stage and no one, like the lights off. That was not very, very, very good feeling. But then on the way to go to my house, I was reminded again that, you know, the church is not about the building. And the building of the church is closed, but the real church is not closed.
Right.
And nothing can close the real church. Like no coronavirus, no government, nothing at all. And I was thinking about the people, and then again I was reminded that the church is not the building, but are the people. Yeah. So the church is still open, even though we are not meeting physically. There are so many ways that we can be the church. And there was that moment that I thought about, okay, now let's see what we have. And we have Zoom, we have Skype, we have Facebook, so let's Zoom to gather the church together and to be together on online and worship God together and grow. So the church, I think this place was a house. It became a church when the real church came in. It was not the church, like it was just a building. No one knew this place as a church. And now people are pointing with a finger, oh, that's the church. Yeah, that's the church. Why this is the church? Because the real church came in.
Right.
So that's something that I was reminded about what the church is. And I believe brother, that there are so many ways that we can be the church.
Mm.
Now, nothing can replace the meeting together physically, nothing at all.
Right.
And if you see the early church, they were meeting together, they were breaking bread together, they were
Yeah.
living life, and they were doing everything together. And that means that that's the model for us. Like, we should meet together. But at these times, there are different ways that we can be the church.
Mm.
The way how we are doing it, we are using everything God has provided. The social media, we are using that as a way to be the church and stay connected with one another. But at the same time, we are going out sometimes when we can to really find what are the needs in our community. And another way we are trying to be the church is by helping the people that are in a need.
Right.
We have people that have lost their jobs and they don't have like food. We are talking about food, not luxury or stuff like other things, but food. And we have been able until now to help 12 families and just bringing food to them. And sometimes we focus a lot of time on a spiritual part, sometimes on the emotional part, but there is also a physical need that we as a church need to respond when we see it. Now, we cannot feed the whole country because there are a lot of poor people, but there are some that God has brought before us that we feel the responsibility to help those families. So that's another way how we have been the church during this time, trying to get out and see what are the needs and provide food for people. Yeah.
I love that, man. I was in a meeting one time, and I heard a guy say this, and it stuck with me. And what you just said brought it right back to my mind when you were saying y'all can't feed the entire country. Like, I mean, that's unrealistic, But I heard this guy say this once. He said, don't stop yourself from doing for some what you can't do for everyone. He said, so do for some people what you can't do for everyone. Instead of looking and going, well, I can't do this for this person because, X, Y, Z, or I can't do this for 100 people. Maybe you can just do it for 2 people. He said, for those 2 people, though, it may be what needs to be done for them. So be faithful in doing for some, even what you can't do for everyone. And that always stuck with me. And that's very much like what you're talking about. And I just, man, that's so amazing. And you get me excited, talking to you always gets me excited. Even when I know kind of the way, like we sat down and we kind of had talking points of how we wanted the conversation to go, but your passion and your love and your compassion for people, it always comes through when you speak. And that's one thing that struck me the very first time we met, when we were sitting there at Chick-fil-A, but then we got that opportunity to have that follow-up conversation. And that really solidified our relationship, I felt, because I mean, we just sat down and there was just, as people say, it's kind of a churchy term, but there was like that divine flow. There was that divine connection. And we've talked about that before. Like, you don't just always sit down with somebody and hit it off, but man, I sat down with you and I just, even speaking to you now, I feel like I've known you for so long, and I've only known you like a year and we've only gotten to share a handful of meals, but I think it's your love for people. I think it's your desire to see the church grow, like the global church, to reach the lost and to minister to the hurting. Like, man, that for me, that just does something inside me. And I know it does for other people. And that's why I wanted this call to take place, because I mean, you just encourage us so much by that, because here you guys are on the front line. You're boots on the ground. You're in an even more restricted place than us. Like, I think about you guys daily, like no joke. The last 2 weeks that I've had, because I went home and I told my mom, I was like, hey, I was talking to Tony today. I said, check it out. And like, we've gotten to meet the kids, and we've got 2 small kids. I was like, they're stuck in their apartment. Like, they can't even go outside to a park or to a yard or let them run around. I was like, we're so fortunate. Like, I know there's times that we're just like, oh my gosh, I wish we could go and do whatever, or I wish the kids could do, but at least we're able to get outside of our homes, and they haven't put us in such tight restrictions. And even with those restrictions, man, like, you guys are still flourishing. you're still fighting, you're still going forward with the mission and the vision of the church, and you didn't allow this to be something that keeps y'all still.
Yeah. It's I think it's so true what Jesus said to Peter when he said that, you are Peter, and I'm going to build my church on you. And the gates of hell will not prevail. That means that the church will prevail. I believe there is nothing that can stop the church. It's nothing. There is nothing that can really, no virus, nothing at all that can stop real church being the church. And we are trying to be the church, and we are asking the Lord to help us be the church, even during this time that we are in quarantine and very strong restrictions. But yeah, I think we will never stop being the church. It's we are the church. How can we stop being the church when we are the church? So we will continue go forward and being the church. Yeah.
Man, I love it. Well, I set me a timer, Tony, because me and you, we can talk for a while.
I know.
It's not hard for us to talk. You know what I mean? Like we can take 2 points and spend 2 hours. What did I say? I said, we're going to try to keep it to 15 minutes. And you said, is that per topic? And I said, hey man, I said, whatever you want to do. Right.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I think this is a great spot to wrap it up with all this encouragement, with how you're challenging me, how you're challenging us here to continue to be that church, to use whatever it is that we have in front of us to meet the needs that we can meet, even if it isn't all of them, even if it's just one person, man. If we can be those hands and feet to just one person, we're still fulfilling the gospel. We're still going forth. We're still doing the Great Commission. And man, I just appreciate you taking time to encourage us and to catch us up with what's going on in Albania, to let us know how the family's doing, and just to get a minute, just to hang out for just a second and speak with you. Do you got anything you want to close with? Is there anything else you want to share?
I really would like to share. We'll try to keep it short, but
go ahead. No, you're good.
One of the passages that I have been encouraging our church, and I'm encouraging myself, and every day, is Hebrews chapter 10, verse 23 to 25. And there are more, but at least there are three main lessons that we can find there. First of all is that let's us hold on the hope, it says. And our hope is true, and it's real, because faithful is the one that promised, said verse 23. And during these times, we need to hold on the hope that we have in Christ. And this is what I'm encouraging myself, and this is what I'm encouraging the church. And then it says that let us consider to stir up one another. Yeah. And let's be a blessing to one another. And it says let's care for one another. And I have really been encouraging our church, like, this is a great time that we can take a lot of time praying for one another, and that's a way of caring for one another. And I have been encouraging, like, okay, call one another, like find ways to stay in touch by trying to show love, and that you love and that you care for them, and ask how can we pray, how can we if there is any physical need I can do for you. And that's in the verse 24, and then to verse 25 it says do not neglect meeting together. Right. Like never neglect to meet together. And how does that? How can we meet together now that we have to respect the distance, like the social distance? Right. And that's the Zoom call, or there are so many other ways that we can still stay connected with one another. And I think those things have been very encouraging to me, and I wanted to share with you that yes, let's put our hope on Christ. Let's take care of one another, praying and loving one another, and never neglect meeting together. Let's use technology to meet together and stay in touch. And you guys, you do a great job with live streaming. You are not staying connected only with one another. You are staying connected with us, because every Sunday I worship with you.
Oh man, that's awesome.
It's so good. It's so good.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So there are ways that we can still stay strong together and go through this and get ready for after this is gone. So I wanted to share.
man, I think that's probably going to be my biggest takeaway from our conversation today is that we're in preparation for what comes after.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that if I'm not careful, I get so stuck in the now, and I get so almost paralyzed by the unknown of, well, what's tomorrow going to be? What's the next week going to be? What's next month going to look like? And then and then we got all this social distancing. And so now you have this feel of isolation and all that stuff. And that can keep you stuck right now. But what I love that you're challenging us with is, okay, this isn't forever. This is going to be really in the long term. For a lot of us, this is just going to be a small period of time. This is just going to be this is just going to be a small period of time, and then there's going to be so much importance, so many things that are going to come after this, and we need to prepare ourselves now, because if we don't, what's going to happen? We're going to wake up one day and we're going to be back in relationship with people, and then we're not going to be prepared to have those answers that they're going to have questions about. And I think that's a great takeaway from today. And I appreciate you encouraging us with that. And I appreciate you sharing with us about Hebrews, because that's exactly what you're doing. I mean, you're living out exactly what you're asking people to do. And I love it, man.
Guys, thank you. I want to say thank you that you are part of God's work here.
Yeah.
You have been a blessing to my wife and my family and me, and you are supporting financially, and I really want to say thank you, because without you and without you being part of this work here, we cannot do what we are doing. So I really want to say thank you so much for serving with us and for serving, for reaching others for Christ, and reaching Albanian Muslims for Him. Yeah, so I think I'm humbled to partner with you guys, and you're great. And I look forward to meet you guys sometime in the future. Maybe I will come back in Arkansas.
Yeah, because when you come to Arkansas, what do you have to say?
Howdy, y'all.
That's right, man. You still
I'll never forget that.
Well, I mean, you got it down. You're way ahead of me than me coming to Albania and trying to say something to them. I'm not going to be ready for that. You're already ready. You're just like a regular Arkansan with the howdy y'all. Well, man, we love you guys, and we're so appreciative to partner with y'all. It really is an honor. It's part of our culture here. It's part of our heart as the church here, that we get to see the gospel spread around the world. And it's through people like you guys right there in Albania, like you, Anita, and the kids, man, loving on people and just sharing the gospel with them through everyday actions, through encouraging words, through the Bible, through your testimonies. I wish that we had 3 hours, to sit, because I could go for 3 hours with you and speak with you, because there's so much stuff that you can share that's so encouraging for people. But you just did such a great job today.
Thank you.
Encouraging us. So I really appreciate it. We're going to sign off here. And I'm going to let you get to dinner, because it's dinner time. You make sure to tell the kids and eat a hi for us, man, that we love them, that we're sending all the well wishes and the prayers that we can from here.
Thank you, brother.
In Lamar, Arkansas, all the way to Tirana, Albania. And man, we love you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the time, and thank you for being with us in what God is doing here.